Howdy folks, welcome back to Kdogs Movies. Well, I thought I'd do something a little bit different out of something that I don't think I've ever talked about this movie. Matter of fact, I kind of want to do a series of some of my favorite films featuring this particular actor. And is he one of the greatest actors of all time? Well, yes and no. He's probably one of the most iconic actors, but in this day and age, you know, he can be a little problematic. Well, then that's a good thing, because we need some more conservatism and not woke. So we're going completely right. We're going completely to the right side here with John Wayne. And of course, I'm saying that all as a joke, okay? So don't take this. Everybody's welcome to this channel, but please do note where I stand. I am not for woke agenda. If you are liberal, conservative, come do join in. but John Wayne, and the reason why I say that is because John Wayne was known for being a very strict and hard-nosed conservative for the time. So, but this is the film I decided to view for the time, and there's a few other films I want to take a look at his. Probably the ones that tend to be my favorites, and this is one of them. I don't recall ever talking about this movie until now. It is from 1959. Also joined by Dean Martin, Ricky Nelson, Angie Dickinson, and Walter Brennan. It is 1959's RIO Bravo, directed by Howard Hawks, released by Warner Brothers. Yes, this is probably one of my favorite, one of my favorite John Wayne, let alone favorite westerns of all time. And this movie has been influential to several other directors in terms of doing movies, including John Carpenter, Steven Spielberg, just to name a few. And there's several other directors that this film has influenced. That and another film I want to talk about later on. But this film was directed by Howard Hawks, again joined by Dean Martin and Ricky Nelson, and the camaraderie that these three men make in this picture is just top-notch. The story is about this small town by the name of RIO Bravo, and it has been invaded by these terroristic gunmen who are coming to take over the town. And of course they're I think mostly it's cattle herders, and you know, they're the dishonest kind that want to come in and just take over and consume everything, including towns and politicians and whatever. But the town sheriff doesn't see it that way, played by John Wayne. His character in this film is called John T. Chance. He doesn't see it that way, and of course he's trying to keep law and order into the town, and alongside with him he has a deputy played by Dean Martin, who is a drunk, but at one time Dean's character, Dude, was good with a gun, but something happened in his past over a woman, and so he became a drunkard and basically became the butt of the town's jokes, and no one takes him seriously, thus making the sheriff look like a joke, as well as he has a crippled a crippled jail hand played by Walter Brennan. That's all he can do, is just keep watch over the jail. and the inmates. And so they end up arresting a man who murdered another man in a jail, and he belongs to this gang. And so they hold him in jail until the U.S. Marshal comes, and that's the only way that he's able to, at the moment, legally able to fight off the gang. And so, and that's the way he wants to keep it. But things get uglier and uglier when the gang, more and more of the gang shows up, and of course, they beat up Dean Martin's character. And of course, there's also this other woman that comes into the picture, played by Angie Dickinson. This was Angie Dickinson's first big role, I think. She had been in some other movies beforehand, but this was her first big movie, and so they knew they needed a strong woman to play the part of the character. And so there ends up being a love interest between Angie Dickinson's character and John Wayne's character, and she also has a past of hanging around she has a past of being around dishonest men. It earned her a reputation of being where she's wanted, but it turns out that it was the man who was dishonest that she was married to, but the man got shot. But then you have Ricky Nelson, who's part of a cattle herding team, and the actor, his character, the actor by the name of Ward Bond is in this film, and Ward Bond is in several films with John Wayne, because they really liked each other. They were friends, and so they gave each other jobs. So, but Ward Bond plays this cattle herder, and he hires on Ricky Nelson's character. He is given the name of Colorado, and Colorado is this young kid, and he's also good with a gun, but he's a little apprehensive to get involved with what's going on in the town. But once his boss is murdered, he's like, I have nowhere else to go, so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick it out with you guys, and you need an extra set of guns to keep law and order in this town. And needless to say, this is an good old-fashioned it's a good old-fashioned, law and order. The hired, the bad guys don't win. The mob does not win. As a matter of fact, the mob loses big time, and they all end up in the jail cell, as well as along with the U.S. Marshal to come and take them in. It's kind of interesting, we're in this heated debate about small towns, and especially social media, with the whole Jason Aldean thing, saying that the song "Try That in a Small Town" is a racist song, when it is far from being racist. The video is far from being racist. The video is far from invoking violence. It is simply showing violence, that the people who are accusing of the video of being racist, showing what they're doing, and it's exposing truth. And it's interesting. And this had nothing to do with the movie that I watched, but it's something similar. It's a similar theme. You come into this town, you come into a small town wanting violence, you're going to pay. Matter of fact, they say that in the film. You come in wanting to consume and take over, you're going to pay for it. No one's going to just surrender to you, and it's not about your feelings. It's about what's right and wrong, good and evil. And I'm saying that with pure sincerity. You can block me all you want. You can whatever. Doesn't disguise the truth. Truth is not about what you feel. Truth is truth. I hate to be the one to break it to you, but truth hurts. Just because something feels good, looks good, tastes good, doesn't mean it is good. It's truth. Truth is truth. And this is just a simple Western. As a matter of fact, a little bit more trivia about Rio Bravo. Rio Bravo actually itself was a criticism of another film, of another classic film actually. Howard Hawks despised the movie High Noon. He thought that the movie was so unrealistic of what would happen. And it was, High Noon is a very similar story, where a group of bandits, gangs come in to terrorize a town, but it seemed like it was a bit unrealistic that this is what Howard Hawks felt. He felt that the film was a bit unrealistic, having the town rally behind him and have them be the hired guns, when really these men would stand their ground, and they do. And of course, if you watch the movie, which I encourage you to do, and spoiler alert, you know what they were able to do to hold off the bad guys and make them surrender? Was a few guns and a case of dynamite. That's it. A few guns and a case of dynamite. When you have at least 4, if not 5 people, 2 with shotguns, 2 with pistols, actually 3 with shotguns, 3 shotguns, and 2 with pistols, held off a gang of terrorists and a case of dynamite. How that all played out, watch the movie. Matter of fact, Turner Classic Movies shows this movie quite regularly, or at least they used to. But yeah, and you're going to say, hey, the old Western cowboys, ha ha ha. Just because it's that doesn't mean that some of the themes doesn't hold up to today's standards. Take this as, this movie, like I said, was very influential to several directors. Matter of fact, it was very influential to film director John Carpenter. John Carpenter made a film called Assault on Precinct 13, which is more of a 70s take on how Rio Bravo would play it out, and it had a much smaller budget, of course, but that film is very, very similar in theme, like a modern take on Rio Bravo. You could remake this film today and set it in a modern day town, and tell it that way. You can set it in a modern day town and it would still hold up. That's how good the movie is. And you can even have one of the deputies or one of the lawmen be an addict. Like Dean Martin's character in the film is. He's a drunk. But he's a drunk actually on the road to recovery, and they show his withdrawals and how hard it is to leave the bottle alone. And again, one more time, this film was so influential that Howard Hawks himself remade it in the 1960s as El Dorado. Yeah, with Robert Mitchum playing what would be the Dean Martin character, and James Caan playing the Ricky Nelson character, and John Wayne playing the John Wayne character. So yeah, Rio Bravo. I do encourage you to check it out. You know, there's a nice Warner Brothers 100th anniversary 4K Ultra HD version of this, I believe. So if you can find that, pick it up and watch it. Tune in to Turner Classic Movies. This, of course, is the regular Blu-ray edition, which I'm content with. And, of course, great movie, great Western, great John Wayne movie, great Howard Hawks movie, just overall great movie. Still holds up today, and I had no intention of getting political and when mentioning this film, but you know, it just now occurred to me, oh my gosh, you know, we're dealing with, you know, all this stuff with Black Lives Matter and Antifa and all the violence that's occurring in these towns, and then we have the discussion of the country music song with Jason Aldean's, you know, Try That in a Small Town. This fits right into that. I hate to say it, but do check it out. And you know, so from me to you, see you later.